seen the paydays be more equal, man. It's what it is, right? You had women that were tremendous fighters who just were getting paid dimes and nickels in comparison to the men now. So, Vero, tell me now, as a woman, how do you feel that kind of sits now that you're being able to see a little bit more equality in the pay?
I think that a person should be paid as what they deserve. Like, I know I'm worth a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Get
Like,
it, girl.
you're not going to
Get it.
pay me because less because I'm a woman. If I'm qualified to do a job just as much as a man is qualified, it's equal pay.
Yeah,
If I have
100%.
if I have more experience, then I need to be paid more than that man. As a woman, I think you should be paid off your experience about what your background is, not just because you're a man or a woman. You know what I mean?
I
Yeah,
would tend to agree
true.
with that. I think there's something to be said when you can start getting paid off for your skill and it's an equal. You know, you're at an equal platform. I myself have some daughters, and I train my daughters to be as equal to men as they can be. They're 100% capable and can do anything that a man can do. So I think that's a very important thing too. And so for me now, being able to see the world starting to take that spin and starting to take a spin for the good, like I can't knock on it at all. I think it's a very good thing. Now though, speaking away from cash and the opportunity that's being opened by Jake Paul, right? The cynical part of me said, hey, is this going to go down in another controversial decision in this fight, though? Because, once again, I'm going to poke at it again. The first two times that I seen that fight, Amanda Serrano, to me, like, hell course, she put it on her. And then, mysteriously, at the end of the decision, bad decisions. Did you guys see those being bad decisions like I saw?
Now that I'm thinking back on it, it looked like there wasn't many adjustments made from either opponent from the second fight from the first fight. So I think what we're going to see now is maybe seeing someone take that approach in this third fight,
Go a different
so
route.
they can maybe win rounds more clearly. And who of the two do you think can make the better adjustments?
Yeah, so yeah, like you just mentioned, so they're both very extremely talented fighters, and they're both extremely tough, and it shows regarding their two fights. And I really feel that the first one was definitely it was a pick 'em fight, and I wasn't even mad at the fact that they gave it to Katie Taylor because I am a fan of Katie too. I really am. I'm a fan of both of those
I'm a
female
fan of
fighters.
Katie Taylor. Amanda Serrano got robbed.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at. So I thought the first fight was quite close, but now with the second, the problem I have regarding that one was the dirty tactics that was clear and obvious coming from Katie Taylor. She was using an extra tool in that ring, and she was bobbing that head and smearing her face all up in smearing her head all up in Amanda Serrano's face, and it made it for an ugly, messy fight. She even got warned plenty of times throughout the whole rounds and stuff too, But I really feel that was kind of a telling factor in regards to where the path, the angle where the fight went. And no, with that, it told me two things. Katie Taylor was not very confident in her abilities and self, and I do feel that Amanda Serrano won the fight.
I didn't think the first one was as close as you thought that it was pick 'em at the end, and that it was so close that it could have been. I saw Serrano win the first one. I saw Serrano win the second one. I did see Serrano fade at the end of the second fight. If you were watching a fight, just like you hinted at, though, there was so many dirty tactics going on there.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of dirty tactics, it worked, but I'm not a fan of that kind of dirty tactics of seeing headbutts and shit like that come in to try to throw off the champ in that way. Wasn't a big fan of that part of it. Did it work? Absolutely, it worked.
Yes,
Like,
it
you gotta
did.
admit that it kind of
Unfortunately,
worked.
that is the truth in regards to that. As much as you don't want to actually praise and give credit, like hey, uh, every pro fighter finds a way to get away with certain little tactics and tricks and stuff. I mean, Bernard Hopkins, which is a legend. I mean, he has all kind of tricks, and he has a bag of tricks. And it's just like with the legend of the old school style, like you get away with things because you do things on the opposite end of where the referee is at and this and that. And hey, that's part of prize fighting. That's just the name of the game and stuff. And it gets frustrating at times. It really does. But that's part of actually the art of the game. It actually is part of the art.
Well, listen, to me, like I hinted at before too, that to me it had a hint of Marvin Hagler in there, right? Marvin Hagler could get in there, and he used to overwhelm people with how aggressive and everything he was. But he also had a good 1-2 and a 3 when he would throw that headbutt, man, and it would throw people off of their game. And several fighters went out like that too, though, right?
I think it's a matter of time before the commission step in and women's boxing, and they force them to like like when men boxing, you have the option of cutting your facial hair, because it's you can
Yeah.
absorb a punch.
Yeah.
Like, do you think it might be a point where like women can't wear dreads when they're fighting? Like, they can't have something that would cause more of a cut when they're rubbing their head up against another.
Because that's rubber bands or something like that. Whatever it is that they use to actually keep the hair together, right? That actually is it's a weapon.
Yeah, when you cut your hair so short in men's boxing, it kind of feels like sandpaper, and you rub that against an open wound, that can open up the cut a little more. Like, I just wonder if
So
we're
when
gonna.
you say that, then when they do that kind of rubbing, then you're talking about the actual cut itself beginning to open up more.
Yeah, I mean, potentially, possibly, but it doesn't feel good when you already have like you're already bruising up.
And then you got sandpaper rubbing up on your wound, right?
Yeah,
That's pretty much what
open
it is.
wound,
Yeah.
Listen,
yeah.
it makes 100% sense to me. I only ask because to me, there's gonna be people at home who are listening and watching. Who
What is that?
don't
What are we talking
necessarily
about?
Know that, right? They're gonna be like, hey, what are they talking about? So it's literally rubbing the wound to get it to open up more, so they'll bleed more, and then maybe get the fight stopped or going somewhere.
But now with that, giving credit where it's due, obviously, that's the whole thing. This is the extra tricks in regards to a veteran fighter. You got your opponent hurt. Maybe they're just a tough cookie. You got to find an alternate way on how to bring them down or to get them more weak. So they do these little tactics, these tricks, these rabbit punching, these low blows. These holding in the clutch so you're not getting hit, and you're popping them on the other side where the referee can't see that you're holding down one of their arms and stuff. Like, these are all tricks. Come on, if you guys are watching this, you guys already know it's the name of the game. It's boxing. It does suck at times and stuff, but people can admit your favorite fighter. Some of your favorite fighters have done this or is doing it, and you tend to neglect it. But just keep it real. Like, it's part of the game. It is. It really is. You learn little tricks. It's like you pull an arm down, to open up a space and slide. And a lot of fighters do that now, which by the way, very smart move. And it's not illegal.
We were just watching a fight, right?
Yes, we were.
What was homeboy that was
Norman Jr.
Yeah, man, Norman. Like, he was throwing that punch, right? And he was throwing it in a particular way.
Where he
so
can pull the arm off.
Punch, that he'd be able to pull it off and open it up, right?
And
Explain a little bit of what he was doing, bro. Because I like for them at home to kind of understand.
So those of you that actually didn't catch that was an excellent knockout victory for him. That was an excellent knockout victory for him. So, just to see him actually in action doing this thing, showing the skills
100%.
where he had the speed, the power, he's got the reflexes, and he was doing everything right. But in addition, what he was trying to get himself an advantage on the situation, because the guy he was fighting was actually really tough. He had the power and everything too, and speed.
Listen, and it wasn't just trying to get the advantage. He literally worked it that way and got that advantage, right? Like, he was throwing it out there, but he was throwing that jab out in a particular
That's
way
what I was trying to get.
where
So,
it was sliding out the hand.
so if you guys got to watch the highlights, if you see it, he puts the hand out there. It wasn't pawing per se. It wasn't pawing, but he'll throw the hand. He'll throw the jab. But while he's bringing the jab back, he's pulling it to the side, so where the person's guard is being moved open and creates an opening spot to get popped. And again, even watching what he was doing, many people would question and think otherwise. But I thought that was actually art. The way he was setting it up, the way he was putting it together, it was beautiful. And I mean, and I'm looking at it, and I can't even knock that. I can't even knock it because I'm like, wow. That was dope. That was solid.
And to me, as I was watching on, as I'm saying, I was watching a fight, but I wasn't seeing that. So my expert level when it comes to the boxing game like that isn't there for the technical part of it, right? I'm more of a fan when it comes to that and experiencing boxing in a long time. So when I was looking, I was like, oh man, he's definitely getting him to open up, but I wasn't seeing the little nuances of how he was getting it to be able to do it. Man, it was something else being able to watch that fight.
And we literally just watched that about 2 hours ago today when we were killing time actually getting ready for the show. And I encourage you guys to actually watch it so you can understand exactly what I'm talking about. And it's the art of the game. It's the art. Yes, people are going to sit there and question. There's a gray area in regards to you might be cheating and snap, but it's a gray area. It's not illegal to actually position your fighter. It's not illegal to pivot and shift position. You're not supposed to stand in front of your opponent, so you're supposed to move. And guess what? In the process of that, you're supposed to move and create openings. And sometimes, if the person's defense is that good, you create your own openings.
And at the professional level, if you can't adjust to that style,
and that part, that right there. So if you know what your opponent's doing, well, you know he's going to be moving your arms apart. Well, prepare, be ready.
Well, and
Bob
that
and
was-
weave, move
that-
your head,
and that was
get
the
out of
thing
range.
Watching Norman fight was that he had it calculated to what Homeboy was gonna be doing. It was surgical when he was putting it out there, man. There was 2-3 rounds where he dropped the dude like 2-3 times.
Yeah.
Because he kept catching him with that same deal that he was doing.
No, he looked really sharp, and I actually definitely, speaking of on the guy, I really look forward to see what's going to happen to him on his career moving forward and stuff. This is going to be very interesting. So that part, So apparently, I guess he's matched up to be fighting the very slick boxer, and I give respect where it's due. I'm not a big fan, but Devin Haney, and that's going to be very interesting, very very interesting.
I like him.
Yeah, same. Very interesting, but hey, Haney got the skills though. Give respect where it's due. Devin Haney got skills. So, but now there's a lot going on regarding Devin in his mind too, because like, oh my goodness, I mean his last fight, he looked very gun shy versus Ramirez, very gun shy, and I'm pretty sure it had a lot to do regarding that beat down that he did receive from Ryan Garcia, which was a ruled a no contest eventually.
It is what it is. It was an ass kicking, man, and there's no way you can take an ass kicking like that and your career doesn't suffer in one way or the other. Whether that is your ego taking a hit because you got, handled that way too, but there's also something to be said within the physical part of it, right? As you're moving on, going through tough fights like that and tough wars like that, people don't recover very easily from them and just come back.
Yeah.
Was it surprising to see that he was this slowed down in that last fight? He won. He looked horrible in winning, though. I was shocked at how horrible he looked. I think he's gonna have a problem at this weight class anyway because I don't think he has enough pop in his punch, man. So I spoke to this earlier with you. I don't think he has enough pop to be able to keep the fighters off.
Yeah.
And there's some big killers up at that weight level. You know what I mean? Who are gonna be coming, and that's where he's gonna run into.
And if you can't get your opponent's respect, they're gonna walk you down.
Devin Haney was embarrassed. He was embarrassed against Ryan Garcia, right? His mental psyche definitely was cracked, no doubt. So then he didn't have to take a whole year off, but he did. It took him that long to kind of figure out what he was going to do next, and then he started doing all these suits and stuff like that were also embarrassing to himself. His dad says a bunch of stuff that could be embarrassing.
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
Really fucks it up
So-
for him, man.
so-
There's tons of people that just fucking dislike the dad to that level that don't give Devin Haney.
Bill Haney's a
They don't wanna
clown.
fuck with the dad,
That
man.
fool was a clown, man. I got no
So
respect
his
for that
last
guy.
fight, Devin Haney's last fight, I think it was just to get back in the win column, just to know what it feels like to win again, whether it was boring or not.
And mad respect before the fight even transpired. On paper, it looked really good because Ramirez is very solid, and yes, he's kind of actually dropped a couple of notches over the last couple of outings on himself. But I was like, wow, you've been gone for that long, took that beating, you took on Ramirez. That's pretty bold. But yeah, he got the W. I don't think he actually did. I couldn't really score many rounds for him because he was running around like a chicken and shit. That's how I felt.
Listen,
I didn't think he actually won.
On this, man. I think for Devin Haney, it was a good opponent as far as picking Ramirez, but I think he underachieved in that fight so badly, man. He made himself look bad.
The whole fight card underachieved. That whole
Yeah,
fight
that's
card.
the whole
underachieved.
fight card. What did? Yeah, it definitely underachieved.
That 3 day in a row fight card
Not at
series.
all. Much love to Monster for saving the boxing weekend.
And that triple header was a
And
complete
his opponent.
buzz.
Yes, much love to both of them because I mean, as boring of a fight weekend as that was, man, to end it in that way in such an amazing fight. You guys were there at my house, man. I gotta say, for me, wonderful memory, man. We're sitting there,
Oh, yeah. That's right.
My wife and
That's
my
right.
sister in the other room, and normally, they'd be tripping and seeing how the fight's going, right? But they looking over, they know exactly what's going on.
That's what's up.
man. And that's what it is. When you have a fight that's going on like that, even people who are looking on who ain't watching know what's up. You know what I mean? It was that type of fight. Tell me a little bit what you guys thought on Monster there, man. Because he did save the weekend. What do you guys think that means for boxing moving forward? You have a star that is now a full-fledged star in Monster.
Well, he's definitely a mega superstar out there in his home country, but they're trying to build him up to be something over here in the States and get some more eyes on him. But anybody who follows the game of boxing knows they know that NOA is a problem for anybody in that weight division.
100%. He's going to be a
I mean, he
problem for
just brings every intangible that you want in a fighter.
Man, so much.
He's
much,
also vulnerable
so much
now.
dog, so much tenacity on that dude.
He
man.
is vulnerable now, though.
Yeah, he's getting popped. He's getting dropped on his
Which
butt.
makes it even more exciting.
I mean, it just makes it so much more friendly, man. You're watching and you're like, holy shit, he could be out. And all of a sudden, no, he's knocking the other dude out, but he's vulnerable.
Because he's not invincible.
Yeah, no,
And-
it's boxing, right?
He's
It's
not a
boxing.
machine.
Nobody.
He's not a machine.
No, listen, and it is boxing, so everybody knows the one thing that is unbeaten in boxing is Father Time, because eventually somebody catches up with everybody at some point, right?
Yeah.
Monster's not that old though to be able to say that he's already starting to slack
But
off.
it could
So
be. It
that
just.
should be interesting.
It just could be just the fighting style. You know what I'm saying? Like, the aggressive fighting style is always short lived, no matter who or how great you are.
If that young cat that knocked him down in that fight had Juan Manuel Marquez power
Oh.
versus Pacquiao, it would have been the same kind of situation. He would have ran right into that punch and then not got up. You know, he landed the perfect punch at the perfect time. I can't take that away from him. But if he had a little bit more pop in that punch, in a way, might not have gotten up. He would have been flat in his face, just like Pacquiao did against Marquez.
What a memory you just gave me there, bro. I thought Manny died in that fight, bro.
I got
was
loud.
watching, I was like, Manny just died.
I think I got loud at your house for the Inoue fight, like I got loud for the Pacquiao Marquez 4 fight, bro.
Man, what an amazing memory that was.
That's
man.
boxing, bro. That's what boxing does for us.
Marquez. Shout out to JMM, man. Shout out, one of the greatest. of all
Dinamita.
time. Viva Mexico for that grand champion. You know what I mean? And you know what? And for me, everybody knows that Guapo Dames tends to lean a little heavily towards Central America, so everybody knows that, I'm Guatemalan. Juan Manuel Marquez has been following and covering Lester Martinez very closely for pro boxing.
Speaking of Lester Martinez, he fights the very next day from the Katie Taylor Amanda Serrano fight on the 12th, on Saturday.
On Pro Box.
He's actually headlining that fight card, as a matter of fact, on Pro Box. That is correct. Yes.
Esto es personal para Lester allá. Ojalá estés oyendo. Guatemala y todo lo que es Latinoamérica y Centroamérica te está apoyando. Man, get us that world title, bro. We need it. We ain't have one down there. We need that from you. So, having said that, I see Lester Martinez coming out and performing on the 12th, bro, and getting an amazing knockout. And then I want Christian and Billy next. I said it.
He's obviously, birds of feather flock together. He's surrounded by some good company. I mean, he's with the team of Bomac, a.k.a. Bud Crawford, and there's a whole
And
state.
there it is. Hold on. 4luvofboxing specializes in those little bit of nuggets, tidbits that we drop on people. Now, there's a very famous clip of Lester Martinez knocking out Joe Sean James. That little nugget of what it is it's an extremely famous clip that went viral. That's actually from Terrence Crawford's phone. Terrence Crawford was the one actually filming that clip. That's a little bit of side story for you.
That's what's up. Hey, real quick, I'm gonna make another quick point and stuff, and our friend here definitely got some questions you want to add on to this. But on that same day, let's also bring up a quick little point regarding mentioning this: Shakur Stevenson versus William Cepeda, championship fight. It's a good fight. It's a fight that's been in marination for quite some time, man.
I'm gonna ask it directly to you, bro, because with some of my boxing questions of can it happen or it can't happen, I go to you a lot, right? I go, hey man, like we're seeing this happening out. Can it actually play out, right? So the Mexican fans are gonna be going nuts. All Latin fans are gonna be going nuts, and they're gonna be wanting Cepeda to win. He's also very volume oriented. He throws a million punches. Can he actually catch Shakur, and can he beat Shakur?
Cepeda will not beat Shakur Stevenson, bro.
Yeah.
As painfully as that hurts
Sorry,
for me
Panda.
to say.
Sorry, Panda.
And Robert's referencing his corner. Yeah, so Panda's a good friend of Robert's, and
Known him for
we
for
got a lot
decades.
of respect for all trainers. But you just asked me a simple question. I'm gonna give you a simple answer.
Straight answer. Yeah.
Cepeda has the goods. He really does. When he's matched up with other fighters that are willing to exchange with him. Stevenson will exchange with them after he has him hurt.
Well,
He's gonna break him down.
But here's the monkey in the wrench in regards to this though. They are fighting under the guidance of His Excellency, whom actually is going to make the ring smaller to make it more difficult for a fighter to run. Is that going to be a factor?
Not at all.
Not at all.
In this fight. Not in this fight. Stevenson's that dude, man.
He is.
Stevenson is that dude.
We were ringside to see him dismantle
Oscar
Valdez, Team AZ. And I was thoroughly impressed in regards to what I saw, because I was like, there's a superstar about to be born right there. His performances after has been very stale, but Shakur Stevenson does have the skills. Now, I do want to point this out regarding this. Tevin Farmer just got his ass annihilated in one round versus old boy freaking
Floyd Schofield.
I had a brain fart. Schofield. Blast him in one round. Easy work. Easy work. Now let's remind you, Tevin Farmer went 24 rounds with Zepeda and gave him hell. Tevin Farmer's a hell of a boxer, but he ain't no fucking Shakur Stevenson.
Oh no, listen. But I also spoke to you guys about this earlier too. Is that you only have so many big fights in you that take it out of you, and you're not the same fighter moving forward.
Yeah, you did mention that.
To me, Zepeda took it out of him, and now he's not the same fighter moving forward. And you guys who were even speaking on that he may now be that guy who's now going to be that journeyman guy who's keeping the gates for the youngsters. You know what I mean? So that could be something that plays into it too.
Now, the homegirl Vero, go on here. What you share some words with us?
Yeah, so I can hear you guys talking, obviously, and you say, I thought he was gonna take it. Do you think that these boxers have a lack of confidence when they have those minor slip-ups, or do you think they're over arrogant on some of the things? Because there is a difference.
That's a good question.
We were just speaking about
Very
Devin
good
Haney,
question.
Yes.
about 2-3 minutes ago or whatever.
Very good question.
Right? Devin Haney lost all his confidence,
Yeah.
and that's to me exactly what the big thing that happened. Did I still see him having the tools? Man, the guy is gifted when it comes to actually having the skill that it takes to actually do something like that. You know what I mean? But to me, it's that confidence that drops, and there's nothing more important in boxing than the confidence. That's real.
So it's just like any other job that someone might have, where you foul up, you make a mistake, and say you cost your company, some money,
Right.
and they're like, "Don't worry about it. Like you're good. You're gonna be fine. We're gonna get you better." And that's kind of what they're doing in boxing is they learn from that and they build their confidence back by punching other people in the face. So once they get that feeling,
you get that gimme fight. You get that gimme fight.
They start gaining that confidence level back, and then hopefully get back to a level that's top tier.
Right.
I want to piggyback off of that question in regards to what your statement. So regarding getting confidence sucked out of you regarding like a devastating loss, I'm gonna go back into like the 90s. John Ruiz got blasted in like 12 seconds versus David Tua on HBO. Blasted.
He said,
knocked the fuck out.
It was bad. John Ruiz looked like he might have been going and getting seriously hurt in that fight.
So the thing is
I never
this.
liked John Ruiz.
That
You
man.
like John Ruiz?
Wait, no, that's what I'm trying to get. So hold on. His confidence, he wasn't the fighter that he was that everybody knows now, and I'm gonna explain. His confidence was sucked out of his soul that night. That was his livelihood. Boxing, fighting. He had to adjust. And what he decided to do was create one of the most disgusting styles that the sport has seen in all of history. He's top 5, no doubt about that shit. No, but the thing is this though, was mind-boggling like no other. Despite that fact, this man went on to become champion. David Tua didn't. This man went on to be some of the greatest fighters in history. David Tua didn't. This man held the world title for years. David Tua didn't.
Only in America.
So to answer that, yeah, it's crazy, but it's based off of the person, their guts, their will, their willingness to change, adapt, to become different.
Okay.
And he did. It wasn't to benefit anybody that was actually watching his fights, but he made a fucking career out of it. Longevity. And he was never really that good, but he just knew how to win.
Hey, what the fuck do you mean he wasn't that good, bro? If you capture the fucking world title and you have 3 amazing fights with Evander Holyfield,
I'm talking about no. I'm talking about okay, respectful. I'm talking about the style, bro. He just knew how to win. His style was ugly, and it tripped up everybody.
I can't
Kurt
relate
Johnson.
because when it comes to me, there's nothing ugly about me, right? So I really can't relate to that part of it. But go ahead and continue.
I mean, like Kurt Johnson, Brewster, like you mentioned, the trilogy he had with freaking Evander Holyfield. Like, the dude's been in it with some of the freaking dopest fighters of the 90s, 2000s, and he was 99% of the time on top. Crazy. Like, the only reason...
I was
gonna say, the only reason he lost his battle because Roy Jones came and took it, He never defended it, though, just for the record, but, yeah, he took it.
Now, let me ask you, piggyback a little bit off of that,
All right.
because I used to love watching Mike Tyson box all the time.
Uh-oh.
I stopped watching him when he bit the guy's ear.
Evander Holyfield.
Is that confidence or is that arrogance? Like,
No,
what went wrong
That's
there?
a
Like,
meltdown.
I was like,
hold on.
That's a meltdown.
Let me answer that question.
Yeah, you're the Tyson.
Mike Tyson is my guy.
Yeah.
Right? Was that confidence? Absolutely not. That was a fighter who was lost in the ring and was getting his ass whooped and had never been bullied himself like that.
He's looking for a way out.
Yes, he needed a way out at that point, and he didn't know where.
He didn't want to get knocked out, so he found a way to be a tough guy, street guy.
Now, was he scared? I don't necessarily know. That's fear. That's more of confusion of how to like, what do I do now? Because everything that is in my mind that says I'm gonna knock this guy out and this is what I gotta do didn't work at that point.
But he was a challenge for him, right?
Yeah. So when you hit somebody when you hit somebody cleaning like everything with the kitchen sink and they don't even blink.
Listen,
and they're still coming forward. You're like, oh shit.
He had never failed at that, right? Everybody had crumbled that he had hit at that point, and he had hit some like crazy, amazing fighters that had great chins. You know what I mean? So for him at that point, then to come out and let's keep it real. That first fight between Tyson and Holyfield was an amazing fight. The first 7 rounds of that fight were like,
that was epic.
So like, I mean, I was glued to it, and I couldn't believe what was happening.
That was epic.
And Holyfield put in work.
What was that, 96? Was it 96, 98?
96. No, 96 was the first one. 97 was the Sound and the Fury, which was the rematch.
Yeah, 96. My goodness. Oh my goodness, that's a long time ago.
I think
Listen, but that plays into it too. You had asked, was that a confidence loser? If that was 1988, Mike Tyson turns around, takes some of those hits, and then responds with some of his own fury. In 1996, at that point, Mike Tyson was a shell of what he had been in the 80s. If we keep it real.
Right. And I feel like me personally, watching the fights that I've watched, I feel like when someone's confident or overly confident, they make the smallest mistakes, which costs them. And then when they're too arrogant, the same thing. Like, just some of those minor things cost them.
So listen, I'm glad you pointed that out. Let me ask you two fellas, right, experts in the clown. Right? When she says about having sometimes somebody comes in overconfident, now let me ask you guys who've been watching boxing for so long, what pops into your mind when you say somebody came in so confident and they got their ass whooped?
For me, it's not. It depends on the person, and every dog has their day, good or bad. All right. We want to talk about arrogance, confidence. Prince Nazim Hamed,
he said the Prince,
who basically steamrolled through the featherweight division with ease, and then
That's that banter right there.
And then he hit a roadblock when he fought the great, the babyface assassin Marco Antonio Barrera.
Shout out to the babyface assassin.
And Barrera basically spanked his ass. He had no answers. He got his ass thoroughly dominated and beat, so much so he called it a career. Sucked the his aura of invincibility, because he was undefeated. His aura of invincibility, because he had a very jerky style. It was awkward. It was very unorthodox. Nobody could actually prepare for it. But he was just so fast and so powerful. But Barrera just basically took his entire game plan out of him. And he was so it just killed him. Like, he stabbed him in the freaking heart, and he was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm out. It destroyed his confidence. He never freaking fought again.
Listen, when I asked that question, that's exactly what I was looking for. Oh my God, what an amazing fight that was, right? Everybody had Barrera whooped in that fight. The Prince was
I couldn't believe it.
He's coming in and he's gonna.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Listen, Barrera put in work that fight, and he embarrassed the shit out. I don't think the Prince ever recovered from that, did he?
He never did. That's what I'm saying.
Man.
Never did.
You tell me now. What comes into your mind when you think of the same scenario?
Real quick though, if there's anybody that's listening that wants to look up Prince Naseem Hamed versus Kevin
Cali, one of the most action-packed fights.
What was it, like 3 rounds, 8 knockdowns?
We'll get to that fight segment 2, but yes, keep it in mind. We'll piggyback off of it later.
So as Mr. LP was saying, that's the beauty about this sport, is that it'll humble you with one punch.
100%.
One punch.
100.
It'll humble you to where you start second guessing your religious beliefs, where you start second guessing your own confidence.
Yep.
What am I doing here? Do I even want to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen it more now with the younger generation, that how they're being affected, because there's more knees. They're taking more knees, or they're like quitting in the corners, or they're having like they go through therapy because they're having mental issues
and
stuff like that.
And we're not going to downplay
yes,
mental health is real.
It's a real
Respect
thing.
everyone that's battling that.
Because it is legit. But the point is, I think it's more common now that they're dealing with a lot more of
life.
of life, or their confidence is being tested more now. But at the same time, you gotta be confident with your potential and your skills when you walk in through those ropes.
Listen,
Because if you
for
don't,
me,
100%.
Listen, for me, one of the things that I love about boxing is when you have a boxer who can sell because he's so confident he's coming in and you see it. For me, the guy that I think of that comes in confident like that, and I can tell by one fucking look if we're gonna have a great fight and if he's gonna win, is Emmanuel Navarrete. Emmanuel Navarrete, when you see him coming out in the ring walk, when you see him do the stare down at the weigh-ins, bro, that dude's confidence is oozing at that fucking point, and when he's oozing it, it's all over. I told you guys that in the second fight with Oscar Valdez, when we saw the weigh-ins, man, and I saw a look of confidence.
You did see it. You did see that.
It's over right
You
now.
called it. You did call that.
100%, man. And so that's
You
what I
did.
think when I hear something like that. All right.
Sorry, Barn. That was a very painful fight, man.
Now listen though. When I think of a fighter who got humbled, and I will tell you, for me, it was actually, I was in celebration mode when I seen it happen, man. Marcos Maidana putting it on Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner's dumb fucking ass went out there and started doing all this shit. And then he turned it around,
video
put
here,
up and gave it back to him.
That walk of shame down the fucking, down into the freaking locker room.
Yep.
Man, that walk of shame.
Hey.
He was crushed. All I can think of is he's gonna cry in the car.
You're gonna cry. Yep.
He gonna cry in the car.
He did. I think there was pictures that circulated of him crying in the car.
So-
But that's neither here nor there.
So that memory of that fight and that outcome lives rent free for me. But it also lives rent free in the Twitter community, or on X now, because I was heavily involved in boxing. I got all my boxing knowledge from Twitter at that time. Like all the insight and everybody was talking about it. That was before we had all these other social media platforms. And it blew up that night when McDonough handled Broner.
Everybody went crazy.
It was almost to the feeling as if how it would be if Mayweather lost.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
like
listen. At the time when it happened, I mean, Broner was undefeated and basically the next dude in line to be that guy. You know what I mean? So it was that for them at that time.
but Broner was hilarious in his confidence too. You know, he tried to be somebody. He was selling himself, selling and marketing himself as that kind of a guy, whether it was really him or not. But a lot of that stuff was comedy. Don't get me wrong. I was doing the Adrian Broner dance and stuff like that too.
No, listen. And to me, I don't want it to go negative on me for people to think that I dislike Adrian Broner. No, hell no. I literally started off by telling you I love that confident shit when they come in there and talking shit. To me, it was just his antics once the fight started. He needed to calm the fuck down and take care of business. He started fucking around and clowning around too much during the fight. They got handled. As somebody who was watching out, I was like, oh shit, I can appreciate that. You know?
Now, to me, were the antics post-fight is what turned me off from Adrian Broner. Because this is a gentleman's sport. And he was not acting a gentleman at all for a majority of his post-fight interviews. He was still being in character.
Yes.
And so for me, that's what turned a lot of people off. Because again, too, everybody's sacrificing something
give respect
to
to your
give us
opponent.
entertainment, and you have to be able to shake that guy's hand at the end of the fight, or woman's hand at the end of the fight, for a hellacious battle, win or lose.
100%. I couldn't agree more, man. That's a great fucking point, bro. To me, you have to be gracious in winning and in defeat too. You have to be able to give it up to the sport that's feeding you in that sense without being disrespectful.
Hey, I do want to segue real quick, man, because we're gonna switch it up and
we got a guest in the house.
But look at this. Speaking of crying after a fight and stuff, man, and it's no disrespect to it because you guys put all your blood, sweat, and tears in the sport. And nobody's making fun of trying to clown and stuff. That's real talk, man. That's real talk. And with that, what I could think about is on a couple of occasions, and actually one in particular, the great Matrix, Lomachenko, where he was so emotionally crushed, where he, in my opinion, got robbed versus that Devin Haney fight. It was not fair. He definitely put on a clinic versus the young stud, and he got robbed. And he was in tears. And they actually made a mockery. They were making memes about him in tears in the locker room and stuff, and I didn't like that. But with that, I also wanted to go ahead and say, because it's about a few weeks in and stuff, but he made it official. He hung up the gloves, and I want to thank Lomachenko for an excellent career. and the freaking memories. Because what a fighter.
You know
no
what?
Moschenko, bro. Yeah.
No. Much props to Loma, man. Loma was amazing.
I don't know if we're going to have another fighter.
The red carpet awaits his arrival at the Hall of Fame because he's a shoe-in 100%.
Loma was amazing.
You know,
now, let me piggyback off of something real quick before we move on, and we have to play back to this original point, and then we'll be exiting out for segment 1, and we'll be moving into segment 2. But let me actually ask you guys this question, because this is where we actually started. Who you picking in the Serrano Katie Taylor fight? Because that's what we started.
Circling back, that's right.
The first fight was in New York, right?
Yeah.
I think both of them.
I think they were.
No, the second one was in Dallas. It was on the undercard.
Oh shit, that's right. That's right.
So the first fight was scored to Katie Taylor, right?
Yeah.
In New York. Serrano's from New
that's
York.
where Serrano's from too. Damn,
that's interesting. That's interesting. All right, who's gonna win the fight? The fans are gonna win. I'm not copping out, bro. No. Amanda Serrano's gonna pull it out, bro. Amanda Serrano's gonna pull it out. It's gonna be another epic. It's gonna be a classic. She's probably gonna win maybe by 2 rounds at the most, but you might even have one judge give it 2 rounds for. So like it could be a split. It could be a split.
Evenly matched foes because they're both freaking warriors, 100%. And you mentioned it earlier in the segment here about it's a who's going to make both you guys did. Who's going to make the necessary adjustments? Who's going to make adjustments? Because with both fights, there really wasn't much adjustments. Somebody's going to have to do something drastic. And I do believe, I'm with you on this. Amanda Serrano is going to come with a game plan. She's coming with plan C at this point. Literally, plan C. Yeah. And she's going to pull it off. She deserves it. She deserves it. And maybe it's more sentimental. That's interesting. I don't know, man. I mean,
you know what? If it's as controversial and entertaining,
if it's as entertaining as it with the last two, why not?
Can you think of any fight trilogy that has been as entertaining and controversial as this one?
Controversial.
Entertaining, yes.
Controversial, no.
Controversial, debatable.
Yeah, I mean, we got Izzy Vasquez and Rafi Marquez. They fought 4 times. We were actually ringside
for the 4th one.
We were actually ringside for the 4th one. Yeah. That was pretty awesome. I mean, they were both a shell of their being, but and then we got the Gotti Ward trilogies too. I do feel that the Vasquez Marquez
Triple G one is what comes into my mind because there's been several people that that means Triple G won that shit. Blah.
That ain't controversy though. That's just you delusional, brother.
3 times.
That's just you being delusional.
It's not though because the ones that are saying Triple G won, he lost those fights. So that's the controversy part, right? You guys are saying he won, but he lost.
You being delusional. That's what I say, man. It's all good.
Hey,
you're a Canelo fan, bro. But I am a Triple G fan, though.
He's able to absorb it and accept it. And that's where we're at.
Oh, here we go.
Right? Here we go, though. Thank you guys for listening in on this 4th of July, segment 1, as we're chopping it out of here.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Jerry. We thank Beto. We thank Mr. LP for rocking it up in here.
We thank y'all.
No, we thank everybody at home straight up for joining us, man. Straight up, we give you guys much love and much respect for sharing your Friday night with us.
Happy 4th of July, everybody. 4 love of boxing.
Give us 10 minutes and we'll be back. Give us a chance to go pay these bills. Yeah. Thank y'all.